Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be playing Leatherbound, which is... I can't remember, because I downloaded this a while ago, and now we're playing it, and I don't really remember what it was about. Well, I do remember part of it, and it was supposed to be BDSM, which is what caught my attention, so... but I don't remember the rest. Alright, so we're going to get into it, and we're going to see what happens. My name is not Eleanor. That was my grandmother's name, and that's creepy. We're going to go with Jinx. Another day spent hidden away behind the bookshelves is exactly what I need right now. Tell me about it. Tutoring was beyond tiresome today, and I'm in desperate need of some rest and relaxation. I brush past other castle residents as I make my way through the hallways, headed far away from the hustle and bustle, as well as the grand library. The old library is home to the recreational books, and isn't frequented by the more studious elves that live in the castle. I make my way up the grand staircase, through the eastern wing, and towards my destination. Outside the library doors, I bend to grasp the key from underneath the ornate cabinet sitting nearby, before slipping it inside and heading for the nook at the back of the room, the one place I feel most at home. The light streams through the windows, making the fine dust of the air into a shimmering luster. The earthy scent of the old books fills the room like an enchantment that never fails to soothe me. A lot of the books here go completely untouched, even by me and my voracious appetite. Some tell stories of old elven folklore that would be enough to give even the most formidable elfling endless nightmares. Others talk of political intrigue, though anyone who pays attention to the happenings of the castle has enough of that to last a lifetime. The addition of it in the fiction is strictly unnecessary. I trace my fingers across the leather-bound spines as I make my way, giving them the most attention they'll likely see in a while. None of them are my preferred reading material. At the seat in the window, a few books lay in wait, one of which is my current read. The common title, An Auspicious Affair. These old tales of love have become quite my guilty pleasure. I take a seat on the worn cushion, picking up my book and flipping to the beginning of the 4th chapter. Lover, hopefully, Vinicius is less exhausted in the chapter ahead. My heart pangs in my chest reading the words, not out of any great fondness for Veronicus, but more out of the writer's mysterious note. Their identity is a mystery, and yet their notes and little doodles are a soothing constant. Their company is an ever-present joy. If this man profonticates on his deepest affection with no basis for one more chapter, I fear this book may end up shredded by my hand. My left hand keeps the pages open as my right search, fingers dipping into the small space between the seat and the windows sill for the slender piece of lead. Even I don't necessarily agree with the mysterious writer's every opinion or insight. It never fails to amuse and delight me. I close my eyes, trying to conjure an image of the mystery writer. Do they sit in this very spot? Are we united by the plush ornamental cushions and only separated by time? I can't help but wonder what compelled them to start leaving notes in the first place, penciling in their thoughts like said thoughts are just as important as the words printed within. Then again, I haven't put much thought into why I ever started writing back. I just felt compelled to do so. Judging by the relative undamaged state of the book, I suppose either he becomes less insufferable or your threats was an empty one. I scribble back, trying and failing to match the elegant of the neat script at the top of the page. Realistically, I have no clue if the mystery writer even ever turned the tables and becomes the reader, but I also know if they realize I hang off their every word. Their notes are at least addressed to someone, yet I am unaware of whom the intended audience really is. This message of theirs states lover, which isn't the first time I've seen such an address. Perhaps some couple make their home at this window too, though. The only notes that are ever scribbled back are my own. I add to my note, lover, more for myself than anything before diving into the next chapter. The first few pages start off with the same pacing and content as the last chapter, yet with each page I turn, the tone shifts. My heart begins to pump, and my fingers begin to shake over the beige pages. Thyra, Venericus's wife, has become overcome with the hunger she cannot sate with her husband, and the book begins to detail her foray into self-pleasure in great stomach-twisting detail, all while fantasizing about her son's best friend. I felt my cheeks flush and redden, unused to such a level of description, and yet certainly I am unopposed to it. Most of the book stops shy of explicit details, favoring flowery language, but this story does not shy away from filthy descriptions and forbidden thoughts. My eyes race through each word, eager to reach the climax of the chapter and consume every lust-filled word. Every few sentences a word will be underlined in lead, the more carnal descriptions emphasized by the mysterious writer's hand. I swallow deeply with every instance. Despite them not being in the room with me, I shiver thinking of them reading these pages and knowing I was about to do the same. It feels intimate, and as I finish the chapter, I'm about to slam the book shut before another swish of elegant handwriting catches my attention. Quite the shift in tone, don't you think, lover? My sister's story falls completely on deaf ears. We've been making our way across the castle for what feels like forever now, but perhaps that's simply due to the nature of her never-ending torrent of words. I abhor her detailed recounts of castle gossip. It holds little appeal to me. I'm focused on one thing, getting to the kitchen for a cup of Earl Grey before I head off to the library again. Not that I'm telling her that piece of information, as I know it would be met with ridicule and scorn. I'm not above gossip and intrigue, but the cast of characters around me don't hold as much interest as those in my novels. When Thyra spreads rumors about her friends to deflect from her own affair, I find myself eagerly enjoying the moment. But gossiping about the Crown Prince is both largely uninteresting and a lot less personal, which is arguably a good thing for all those involved. Oh, Prince, my sister gasped, drawing my attention from my thoughts to the prince before me. Not Crown Prince Leoid, but the spare, Prince Urin. My response is clearly not fast enough as my sister nudges me to join her in curtsy. Such an act is met with a look of sheer disdain from Prince Urin as his nose wrinkles and brow furrows with no effort to hide it on his part. There's no need for that. His body language is tense, and it seems clear to me that he wishes to leave the conversation yet feels unable to do so. Likely due to my sister's gushing. I don't mean to take up too much of your time, but I know Princess Emile is waiting on your confirmation for the luncheon. My sister turns the conversation straight back to palace affairs, namely the upcoming harvest luncheon at the end of the season. Is there anything that can be done to ensure your attendance? Her question reflects the fact that the luncheon, unlike the ball, is entirely optional, even if, for appearance's sake, most would prefer the young prince to be in attendance. No. I'm still undecided. Let's leave it at that, shall we? Will you both be attending? Unfortunately so. The words are instinctual, forcing themselves free from my mouth with little consideration from my brain. I perfectly understand Urin's hesitance to attend. Jinx! My sister scolds me immediately, always histrionics in response to even the slightest whiff of impropriety. She has, after all, always taken our family position rather seriously. Urin snorts, his eyes rolling back before he fixates me with a contemptuous glare. And what do you have to complain about when nothing is ever asked of you? Nor is anything of you, really. Once more, jinx! Urin turns, refocusing his distaste on my sister. She's your sister. I'm sure you're more used to her insufferable blathering than anyone. While my barbs to the Prince Urin are usually entirely for an intellectual stimulation, his description of me as insufferable does have me slightly defensive. Just like she's used to yours too, not that she'll ever tell you. I beam, knowing just how to irritate the prince, not with insults to his personality, but with the harsh reality that no one in the palace is ever truly honest with him. Of course, just like the others. They're all the same, I add with a shrug, agreeing with the sentiment. Almost everything about palace life is covered with a veneer of propriety and honor. It's suffocating. Beside me, my sister is still gaping at the exchange between me and Urin as we share our disdain for the palace. You're going to be in big trouble if anyone finds out about this. They won't. Filled with confidence, I press on, knowing no one will hear a peep of this encounter, because then Urin would have to explain why he isn't assisting at the study session right now. My own tutoring session has just ended, and I'm very familiar with the fact that Urin is supposed to be assisting Professor Pottleworth until the students break for their midday meal. Prince Urin, and please stop acting so inappropriately. Urin still seems unfazed by my apparent improper behavior, but remains annoyed otherwise. Oh, do forgive me. I have places to be. May we be excused, Prince? I affect my voice in the most formal way, pretending to curtsy to the prince. Please. Not a second after, I stand upright as my sister tugging me along the corridor with a bruising grip, whispering furiously. What in God's name is wrong with you? Nothing is wrong with me. I know that my behavior, while compared to that of my peers, is strange. There's nothing inherently wrong with treating Urin like he wishes to be treated, like an actual person. It's not an opinion he ever shies away from having, especially not after the recent royal events. He's not Prince Lloyd, and he might have an attitude, but he's not going to rip your head clean off for calling him, God's forbid, his given name. My sister covers her face, not taking care to rub at her carefully applied eye makeup. You're giving me another headache. I cheekily cross my face. A cheeky smile crosses my face as I think of something to assuage her anger. Does it help if I mention I already have a dress picked out for the ball? I'm looking forward to it, truthfully. She sighs in relief, her expression softening. At least you please me by loving balls and galas. Where are you headed now? For tea? I answer honestly, though quickly think of a further fabrication, and then to my room, if that's allowed. Of course. Do not cause any trouble between here and there, understood? Yes, lady. Once more I speak with a mocking intention and curtsy obnoxiously before taking my leave from my sister. As I make my way through the corridors to my true destination, my mind flickers back to the encounter with the prince and our usually frosty attitude towards one another. The truth is, I don't hate Urin for any real reason. No childhood rivalry, no spurned love advances. It's quite simple. His attitude is somehow insufferable, and mocking and arguing with him endlessly is amusing to me. A connection over insults and jibes is better than no connection at all, perhaps even better than most. I'm lost in my thoughts as I loiter around the kitchen waiting for one of the maids to fix me a drink at their insistence. Back in the soul case of... I always screw that word up. The solace of the library, tea in hand, the scent of bergamot wafting through the room, I pick up another of my in-process reads as I take My seat by the window. Ooh, she's like me, has multiple in-process reads. This book, Love Lost, has largely proven to be as miserable as the title would suggest thus far. It's not my usual read, opting for lighter reads to distract from the ever-present ache in my chest and not reinforce it. I have a habit of flitting between different books, largely due to my back and forth with the mysterious writer. Yet, Love Lost was left on the sill, meaning my anonymous companion had been flipping through it. I flipped the book back open to where I had left off and noticed more writing in the large blank space preceding the next chapter. Is there a way to experience love without facing its bitter and inevitable end? We move from one set of arms to another in no permanency, all pretend. My eyes rake over the words, a poem, taken in their solemn meaning and touching prose. The writer's literary analysis has already proven engaging and entertaining, but their own work was something else. My desire to read the book has been sapped even further, as I crave to read more of the writer's poetic words instead. Solace. I sigh a deep breath of relief as I return once more to my safe place. Immediately I can tell something is amiss when I feel around for the key and find it absent. The door is unlocked, meaning someone is already inside. I push the door open hesitantly, noting the silence that stretches on inside. Maybe someone just left the door unlocked, put the key back in a different place, if I'm lucky, yet I don't think I am. Closing the door softly behind me, I peer around the room until my eyes settle on the window seat. Prince Yearn. His head moves from the book. The trance within the page is broken as he meets my eyes. Oh. My gasp is involuntary, as I'm completely taken aback at finding anyone in this little library, let alone the prince. He lounges casually, a certain arrogance in the way he takes up the space. Oh, you. His disdain is clear in my response. Yes, me. His attention turns back to the book, no longer giving me the time of day. Were you expecting Rowan? I know he's frequent here on occasion. I take a hesitant step forward, unsure of what to really do with myself since I'm no longer alone. I trace my finger along the shelves as I always do, lost in thought. Rowan? Yearn's equerry and shadow? Surely he couldn't be the mysterious writer. Does he know? My voice is hopeful, subtly imploring the prince will provide more context, or maybe is familiar with his friend's writing habits. Indeed. Such a hope was useless. I should know the prince isn't exactly one for idle chit-chat. Good for him. Silence falls upon the room, a far cry from the comfortable sort I'm used to. This is stifling, and the prince is sitting in the way of all my current reads, which I daren't retreat in case I reveal my secret. Today was meant for the day I started on the mystery romance I had been eyeing for a few weeks. Really? Romance novels? The judgment is clear in his voice as he clocks my selection without even lifting his head. Well, admittedly, I'm not an avid romance reader. The words tumble out too quickly and uncharacteristically self-conscious, taking over me as I attempt to defend myself. What bothers me more is that I find myself covering up my proclivity for reading love stories. Now that he's looking up once more, I quirking condemnatory brow in my direction. So you selected that because... I take a deep breath, searching my brain for an excuse as his expectant stare makes a lump form in my throat. After a moment, I break free from the hold of his gaze has upon me and turn to the shelf to retrieve the book before taking short, slow steps closer to him. Well, a delayed tactic. I was hoping by the time I'd selected something you have gotten the message that you need to leave. If only my sister could see me now, she would probably pass out at my address of the prince. He, however, seems somewhat amused, even if it's tinged with his ever-present annoyed glare. And why, pray tell, would I do that? He just radiates arrogance. Because I wish to read in peace. Not with the sound of another person breathing down my neck. Not with the prince's annoying voice ringing in my ears. Not with his scrutinous eyes judging my every move. He rolls his eyes and gently flips one of the pages. As opposed to me, who wishes to read in complete chaos. My blood is beginning to boil, as I want him to leave more than anything else. You'll have your pick of the entire place. This library is all I have. For a moment, I think he may relent. My voice had sounded a little more broken than I intended, betraying a bit too much emotion. Yet he sees unmoving in the face of such a display. How terrible for you. Completely unsympathetic. Now standing before him, I take a few deep, steadying breaths, trying to stamp down the simmering anger inside me. Perhaps a more diplomatic approach is needed. So since I know how much you appreciate honesty, I would appreciate it if you were elsewhere. Appeal to a straightforward side, and I don't try to obfuscate. That should work. I force an overly pleasant and obvious fake grin onto my face and wait for him to pay attention to me once more. Effectively, you want me to shoo. Yes, please. A melodic laugh escapes him only briefly before being cut off. Let me think about that for a moment. No. I huff, feeling deflated once more. Because you are just that used to getting everything you want. My words are almost a snarl, yet he doesn't even flinch. Yes, and? The grin that spreads across his face is downright devilish, smug beyond belief. You princes are all the same. You know too much of the palace affairs to believe that for a second. That I do, and I'm well aware of a newly appointed prince and his proclivity for charming anyone and everyone. He'd never hog the window seat or speak to me like this prince does. Though the latter doesn't really add to his appeal. Still burned by your stepbrother's ascension? I press the proverbial knife to his throat, pressing just enough in the hopes of drawing blood, yet once more my hopes are dashed. I could not care less. He mutters, and his words are genuinely steady and seeming unbothered. Ah, yes, it very much appears to be the case. The sound of Oren flipping another page is the only sound in the room, though surely there is no way he can keep his concentration on the page while holding a conversation. I'm not leaving, if that's why you continue to linger. I meant it. From the steely look in his gaze, I can tell he's resolute, but so am I. I'm not leaving either. I continue to wait, counting down the seconds until the moment is broken by Oren. He repositions himself, tucking in and taking up far less space. He passed the cushion beside him nonchalantly. Since you asked so nicely. For the briefest time, I simply blink in confusion. When I regain my senses, I stride over to the seat, brushing my skirts with one hand as I take the seat. Wow, a most gracious prince indeed. I suppose you pay more attention to your new brother than I thought. That seems to prick him. His eyes rolls in that way they often do. At least when the two of us are talking. Stop mentioning him unless you wish for me to use you as a footrest. I snort in disbelief. Ah, there it is, the true royal attitude. His head snaps up, a disgruntled sound leaving his throat. There is nothing royal about looking down on someone for their status in life. You are not beneath me. There is a long pause, where neither of us speaks. I try to focus on my book. I just find you annoyingly spirited. Annoyingly spirited. So you hate those who treat you like a prince, and you hate those that don't? Those implies that anyone else other than yourselves treats me the way you do. But alas, call me a regular misanthrope, perhaps I just hate everyone. Even yourself? A soft bark of laughter bursts forth from him. Especially myself. He's joking, but I can't help but sense that those words are laced with truth. Well, that's very mighty of you to admit. Ha, very funny, mighty. Something heavy seems to have settled in the air, heavier even than our usual jibes. The tension continues to suffocate. You're my favorite, Prince, actually. I begin, attempting to lighten the mood with some more teasing. Now that's just terribly sad. Why, when my stepbrother is so courteous to you? He never really does a good job of hiding his disdain for his brother. We both focus on our books despite prolonging the conversation. Unlike Urian, I seem to be rereading the start of the page over and over again. Your brother pretends to be courteous because he's on a one-man mission to bed every woman in the palace. It's my turn to roll my eyes thinking about the crown prince's false charm. At least you've cottoned on, unlike your sister. He flips the page once more and my eye twitches. Oh, I'm sure she's fully aware, but she's under some delusion of grandeur that if she plays her cards right, it will be more than just a fling, and she'll end up queen one day. Ugh. And I thought she wasn't that much of a fool. I shrug absentmindedly. Sadly so. So you refuse to let my stepbrother bed you out of loyalty to your sister? The thought makes me snort as I take a moment to imagine a sick, twisted reality where I'm enchanted by the prince too. I refuse to let your brother bed me because I'm not interested. You believe you can do better than him? I consider his clearly disdained sentiment towards his brother. I know he's just being provocative on purpose. I know I can. Your sister isn't courting anyone, is she? One hand clutches his chest in fake agony. And I thought I was your favorite. Favorite, Prince. I never said you were a favorite of all the king's children. That's an important distinction. Does that mean I get to bed you? The question is so casually thrown out that it makes me choke on the air I breathe as I quickly scramble to regain composure. Could we stop bickering long enough to even get that close? He hums thoughtfully. I doubt it. I do too. Something within me urges me to be honest. Perhaps it's the thought of Arin being genuinely wounded, or that I've fed into his deep-seated insecurity issues. I've always appreciated your straightforward nature, even if your attitude is despicable besides. Well, I had the best intentions when I started that sentence. Despite my jibe, the slightest of smirks tugs at the corner of Urn's lips. Birds of a feather, as they say. I hope you won't mind if I make a habit of sticking together. Suits me just fine. Now be quiet so we can read in peace. I return the slight smile, meeting his eyes with nothing but a quiet nod of acceptance. Finally, I can focus on the page before me and the unfolding narrative of the latest book. This one starts off with one of the most abrasive heroines I've ever seen in a romantic novel. It's clearly from the get-go that she's meant to be insufferable. And I can't help but laugh as I draw parallels between this character and the prince sitting beside me. I wonder what the mystery writer would make if I left a note saying exactly that. Prince Ernest's true match, I write in my head, but resist the urge to write such words. The silence is surprisingly comfortable and stretches on as the two of us read well into the night. When Ernst stands to leave, he offers me a simple nod of his head before he leaves the key in his place and disappears back into the castle. As I settle down to read for the evening, a new book upon the pile catches my attention with its sudden appearance. The rich brown leather is decorated with ornate green detailing and sealed with a golden bronze buckle. It looks like a diary, except the visible glimpse of the pages show them to be pristine. And hopefully no one would put their diary on my stack of books. Curiosity fills me as I fiddle with the buckles and slide the strap free. A quick flick, though, confirms my previous suspicion that the pages are unused. How strange. What happens next is even stranger. A familiar, elegant script bleeds onto the page, magically inking the paper right before my very eyes. Lover, while we might not be separated by place, we always find ourselves separated by time. Not that I mind a little mystery, but I wouldn't mind a proper conversation every once in a while. I hope you'll write back. I stared dumbfounded. Magic isn't particularly common in daily life, but interacting with it in this way is entirely unfamiliar to me. Did the mystery writer stumble across this particular magic tome and decide to put it to use, or did they craft it themselves? Either way, I'm fascinated by such an object, and the hypnotic way the words appear on the page. I hope you'll write back, so my words would appear in a similar book in return? I pick up the lead I usually use, my fingers hovering above the page as I wonder what to write in response. I ask myself if I even intend on recipient. I am not your lover, but I do find myself taken by this book's magic. It doesn't take long for more words to appear. You are the one who reads my notes, are you not? I am. I wait nervously, wondering what will come of the honesty. Will they be mad I meddled with a book that wasn't meant for me? While you may not be my lover, I still think the name is apt. We share a love of literature and a love of secrets, a love of life. The book and the notes were intended for me all along. I suppose our mutual admiration, our romanticisms links us. Well, the term isn't meant like that. It still makes my heart flutter. That would make you a lover too, lover. My words feel bold, yet I write them anyway. So it would seem. It's so nice to finally talk. It is. Did you make this artifact yourself, or purchase it from a palace mage? There's no response for a minute or two while the writer seems to contemplate. That's a secret. Because it may give a hint to your identity. We've already shared so much. A hint of disappointment rushes through me, and yet part of me doesn't even wish to break through the veil of mystery. In my head, the mystery writer can be anyone and anything, unrestrained by reality. You don't need my name or my face to truly know me. I'd wager you already know me better than most from the glimpses you've seen within the pages of the books we share. And I could say the same in return. I've shared parts of myself with a stranger I haven't even shared with my own blood. So there isn't much chance of us reading here together anytime soon. I get lost in the thought for a moment, daydreaming of resting my feet in their lap and embracing their warmth as we get lost in our stories together. I'm not sure. A sigh passes through my lips. In a way, I can understand their reservations. What if I'm not what they envisioned either? I opt for lightening the mood and shifting to the topic, to something I haven't addressed in my notes thus far. At least we have this. I can question you about some of your irrational hatred towards certain characters. Like whom? Thyra, for one. The woman is having an affair with a much younger man. Her decision-making skills are to be questioned. It is ultimately her own fault that she is led to her downfall. As always, the mystery writer is bold with their declarations, sure of themselves and their thought in a way that is admirable. Maybe, but you can't deny there is still something charming about her. I just did, and I will continue to regardless of your protestations. So your personal morality trumps any enjoyment you have of fiction? I wait a reply that will surely start a debate, yet after a few moments another message comes. I must go, but I'm sure we will talk again soon. Lover. Talk soon. There's a strange, profound ache in my chest at the end of the conversation. The fleeting feeling of connection snatched away just as quick as it came. At least I can still find the writer within the pages of other books. I turn my attention back to the book I'm partway through. The story has been fine so far, but just that. The characters swirl around each other, never showing their true faces and withholding themselves from what could be a true love match. The pacing has been tediously slow, and I wish they'd just kiss already. My solitude is disturbed a few chapters later by the door creaking open. A quick glance shows it to be Oren coming inside. The brief look of shock on his face is masked with a polite smile before I return my attention to the story, and Oren makes the few strides needed to cross the room. He spies the page, stopping to look at the title of the book before slightly nodding. Then he takes his seat and begins to unlace his boots. What are you doing? I intend on using you as a footrest this time. Hilarious. I'm just getting comfortable, if that's okay. I nod, though I him suspiciously, as he makes no move to pick up something to read. God forbids. I think he may actually be interested in talking. I clear my throat as I try to dredge up a conversation topic from the back of my mind. I had the pleasure of running into your brother earlier. He scoffs at that, but his attention doesn't wane. How fortunate for you. He invited me to the upcoming luncheon as his date. If I thought Ern's attention was on me before, his eyes are practically bulging. A look of disgust washes over his features. And what did you say? Well, yes, but of course you did. I despise how dismissive that sounds, like he thinks I would actually stoop so low as to enjoy his brother's affections. I think my sister would have stabbed me had I said no. You, on the other hand, I would have happily rejected time and time again. My quip is quick and smug, yet his is quicker. I would never ask. There's a beat of silence before he fixes me with another incredulous look. I realize now that I won't get much reading done, and I carefully set the book face down beside me. Don't tell me you're actually going to go. It's not like I want to. I scowl at him for a moment. I don't feel I have much of a choice, though. I'm trying to twist things in my favor by making my sister the more appealing choice. Perhaps he will change his mind. She is the more appealing choice. He begins and then realizes he meant for him, rather. He likes the challenge. Is that a male thing? I ask, tilting my head and fixing her with a gloating look. We're all reduced to our baser desires, and when we can't get what we want, it only strengthens our desire. There's a weight to his words I can't quite place. Is Ern feeling that way about the crown now that it's out of reach? Yes. I think that's a thing regardless of sex. You're not much different. You seem to want to irritate me beyond belief. What in the hopes that I'll pull the prince card and I'll have you hauled out of my sight? By the end of his sentence, a smirk splits his face at the ridiculous idea. And yet, it never happens, so you chase it further. A frustrated growl leaves my throat, his words getting under my skin. Is that what you think? Oh, do you not even know why you do it? It's my instinct to antagonize you when you're so irritating. I could say the same. We hold each other's gaze, the air thick with tension as neither of us wishes to look away. It's me who breaks the spell, picking my book back up and continuing to read. I flick to the next page, seeing a paragraph of a handwritten note above the start of the next chapter. I hope you continue with this one. I'm excited to share it with you. Stick with it until the end, and hopefully you'll enjoy the profoundness as I did. It makes me think of you more and more with every passing page. Lover. It's strange how my heart can ache for someone who I've never met. Today's revelation has only made my bizarre affections even stronger. My interest in the book had admittedly been wavering because of the pacing. Knowing the mysterious writer wishes me to persist, knowing that they thought of me while reading, makes me desperate to continue. Ern continues to watch me as if he's waiting for something. His eyes burn through me, and I shift under the intensity of his gaze. Have you read this? I ask, trying to lighten the atmosphere and make things less uncomfortable for myself. I have. And your thoughts? My question is a little absent-mindedly, as admittedly Ern's opinion won't hold much weight compared to that of my mystery writer. He takes a moment to think before speaking slowly. The first half was worth struggling through for the absolutely spectacular and profound second half. I nod, a rush of excitement coursing through me as I think of writing back in response to the note. It's then the words he used hit me. How had I not seen it before? Whoops. That was totally wrong, I'm sorry. But mine sounded better. It's Urin. The book slips from my fingers, crashing to the ground. You? My words are shaky, betrayed by my complete disbelief at my discovery. You? He volleys back. I refuse to believe you're... and you... I scramble to think of words I need as they currently escape me. Never in an age did I consider it could be Urin. And you're clearly more articulate in your notes than you are in person. His brow is quirked, his eyes glazed over with something steely. Whatever walls the prince has are still well and truly up, though I can't blame him entirely. This whole revelation is somehow unexpected. Even if I look back, the clues were there all along. The silence stretches on as we struggle to reconcile the truth. I never would have thought you were the type to deface a book, I say thoughtlessly, one of the many considerations swirling in my brain. It's lead. It can be erased if someone wishes to undo our acts of vandalism. But yes, as it turns out, I am a vandal. He laughs, not in the light, musical way I know he can, but it's late with something bitter and harsh. Is it regret? Urin. My words are a whisper and our eyes meet, his harsh gaze softening. We shared something special. Share, present tense. Does this change things for you? His eyes sparkle with a vulnerability, and yet I can't find it within me to lie to him about how I feel about this unfolding saga. It does. The person in the pages was so smart and sweet and not at all irritating and frustrating, and I realize now I rather like that about Urin. And the person I was writing to was so inquisitive and open. Is that what you're like underneath the desperate attempts at self-defense? I can't help but scoff. Well, we're more alike than we think. I could say the same about you. I am capable of multitudes and well, now you're aware. There's an air of finality in his statement, something that suggests to me that whatever comes next is down to me and my choice. I struggle to find any words at all. Lover? I inquire again now in person. That is definitely going to be a term that is cast aside now that we know who the other truly is. I thought the whole thing rather romantic, though I'm well aware it was just a fantasy and a figment of my imagination. It was fun to pretend. Urin, the firstborn prince of the king, is sitting here bearing himself to me like the protagonist of one of the books we started. And yet, I completely understand too. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't fantasized about soft kisses, breath that tastes of bergamot, and skin that smells like the rain on a warm summer's day. It was nice to have someone who felt so close, even just for a time. I agree. The softness of his words startled me, something I'm not used to from Urin of all people. But it's you, and my words have ruined the moment just a little. Try to keep the disappointment to a minimum. Instinctively I reach out, settling my hand on his wrist as I try to reassure him. He doesn't pull away, and yet the flicker in his eyes suggests he's taken aback by my touch. It's not disappointment. I'm just surprised. Though I thought I had a real true friend. Does this really change anything? I don't know. Despite the bickering, we've always had a level of respect for each other. And we enjoy a rigorous conversation or two, and sharing our innermost thoughts where we're clearly connected rather well. There's almost a sense of pleading in his words, as if I can hear the loneliness weaved within them. And yet, he's right about all the things we could be fine friends. Oh. I can't fight back the soft smile that spreads across my face, or the warmth that blooms in my chest when I see Urin's returning it. Friends? Friends. though I don't think that will be the end of all this bickering. He tips his head back, his beautiful laugh returned, before he smirks at me. Oh, not at all. In fact, now we have to be more honest about. We may have more to argue over, too. Perfect. I clap my hands together happily before a further realization strikes me. Wait a second. What? You would have known who I was soon as you entered the library and saw me sitting here. He averted his gaze, a blush dusting his cheeks, and an uncertain look flickering in his eyes. I assumed as much. And you didn't lead with that? Admittedly, there was a lot of processing on my end. Besides, what? When he looks at me once more, I see such raw emotion within his eyes that my chest clenches. I suppose I anticipated that your reaction would be one of disappointment. It wasn't. It wasn't. It just really was. I sighed, gathering more of my honesty to offer to him. I have spent so much time loving to hate you for no rational reason other than it was fun, a fun way to make life a little less bland. As you said, processing. Now, if it had grown, that would have been hard to swallow. He gasped, his brow furrowing at my judgment of his right-hand man. Browen is fine, man. He's one of the most boring people in the castle, and you know it, and he's nowhere as easy on the eyes. Perhaps I'm being a little too honest, if you say so. Arn smiles, though quickly moves the conversation along. So, Thyra? Pushing open the library doors reveals to me the familiar sight, Oren lounging and reading away without a care in the world. How is it that we've avoided each other for so long? I begin, and he meets my eyes with a minute glance as my son trails off at the smirk on his lips. And now you're everywhere I go. I tiptoe further into the room, carefully balancing the steaming cup of tea in my hands as I do. Maybe you didn't notice me before, with you being an important prince and everything? That must be what it is. He turns his attention fully to me now, placing down the book and tapping the seat beside him in an indication to sit. For what it's worth, of course, I noticed you. I just never saw you here. His eyes burn with something intense and unknown, and a shiver passes through me. I squirm in my seat as silence washes over us, only to be broached by Oren once more. I've been making efforts to fix my sleep schedule. It's only recently that I've been coming here in the early evenings rather than the dead of night. Oh, curious. What changed? I take a sip of tea, soothing my dry throat as I probe further to satisfy my curiosity. Why the change in schedule? Oren releases a heavy sigh and rolls his eyes, carrying a certain vitriol. The behest of my sister. She's worried about me for some reason. A scoff escapes my lips as his dismissive words and tone. Oh yes, staying up until the early hours, prancing around with an attitude, totally normal, non-worrying behavior. I can see why she'd worry. He rolls his eyes once more before continuing to speak, but I continued speaking before Oren can interrupt with something cutting. Though I do stay up late at night myself, but I'm not brave enough to come to the library, though. Brave. It strikes me suddenly that not everyone feels the way I do. Not everyone feels the same eeriness in the palace hallways. You aren't afraid to walk around the palace at night? No, I'm quite used to it. His eyes narrows in thought and a memory seems to wash over him. Do you know I was 18 before the guards would stop escorting me everywhere I went? His revelation takes me by surprise. That sounds suffocating. I suppose I hadn't noticed. Sorry. Long in the past now. Oren dismisses the moment with a soft wave of his hand before he returns to his book. I set my tea down on the windowsill, grabbing an auspicious affair. I'm nearing the end, and yet I don't want to be over just yet. I must check what other books the author has on the shelves. For a while, Oren and I read in companionable silence, the only sound filling the pages being that of the occasional sip of tea or turn a page. Jinx. When Oren speaks, his tone is filled with such level of trepidation I'm not used to hearing from him. Yes. When I meet his gaze, the emotion reflected in his eyes. In his eyes, too, the gleam betrays a sense of vulnerability within him. Can you keep a secret? No, I'm terrible at that. They won't let me into the city in case I spill all the palace secrets. The sarcastic words tumble out of me, too used to the routine, before I can think better of it. Oren stiffens beside me, and I immediately regret my choice of words. Never mind. Oh no. Oren, I'm joking. I offer my warmest smile his way, hoping to coax that vulnerability out of him once more. Yes, I can keep a secret, especially if it's yours. He clears his throat, his expression changing to one of resolve as he sets his book down and stands. Come with me. His hand takes hold of mine, helping me to stand with a brush of pale skin against mine. I find myself upright, far too close to him for the briefest moments before he steps away and his warmth disappears with him. We make our way along the shelves before Ern turns his attention to one section in particular. His lashes flutter shut, his chest rising and falling steadily as a stream of old elvish tumbles from his lips. The shelf begins to glow just for the briefest of moments, before he swings open like a door, revealing the room behind it. Orange strides in with ease, clearly familiar with the magic, yet I find myself rooted in place, and one with the wooden floors beneath me. Wow. I forget you can use magic. Oren's head tilts and his eyes narrow, his expression seemingly unimpressed by his own skill. He beckons me forward into the room. I've been studying it more and more since my replacement arrived. Now I have time to... Okay, let's redo that. Now I have time for more recreational magic, too. With a swirl of his hands, the scones are set aflame, and the door shields shut behind him. Does your brother know any magic? Since the Crown Prince is full-blooded human, he is capable of it, but wouldn't be as adept or naturally inclined as Oren or Emil. Though past kings and queens of the realm have had a long tradition of marital magic, I can't deny that I'm curious how it works with the Crown Prince. He clears his throat, though whether it's due to an awkwardness or the dust in the air, I'm not certain. I'm not allowed to answer that. Okay. My instinct tells me the answer is no, but no one can know due to the disadvantage it would give to the crown. My instincts also tell me that it might be a sticking point for Oren. I remember the stories when we first arrived at the palace, when my parents found themselves under the employ of the crown. We began to learn the lives of the royal family and the intense life led by the then Crown Prince Oren as he was groomed for the throne. Pushing my thoughts aside, I glance around the room, taking in all the details I can set my eyes on. There is no comfortable reading nook in here as there is outside, only an ornate yet uncomfortable-looking wooden chairs tucked into corners. Most of the bookshelves are encased in glass-paneled covers, yet thick coats of dust still decorate the books. Is it always this dusty? I'm afraid so. But some of the books here aren't worth it. Are worth it, I promise. Oren's smile is genuine as he approaches a peculiar shelf. He pulls open the glass panels, slender fingertips pressing into the caking dust. I assume you're enjoying the scenes in an auspicious affair? He turns, catching my eye for a moment as a lump forms in my throat. I know exactly which scenes he's talking about. While we both acknowledge their existence in the notes we share, talking about them in person is a different experience entirely. I scramble through my brain to find words that aren't stomach-churning arousing or shiver-inducingly erotic. Interesting, yes. Oren hovers his finger along the book before settling on one and pulling it out by the spine. Try this. It's just as descriptive, if not more so. I raise an eyebrow at that, mostly at how Oren seems to take this shameless smut-sharing entirely in stride. Even more explicit? Yes. How is he so deadpan? I must be the weird one for finding it strange. Oren holds out the book, and I avoid meeting his gaze as our fingers brush against each other during the exchange. It doesn't need to be awkward, and yet I can feel him staring at me. I turn over the book, reading the summary on the back. I suppose you're keeping a secret for me now, too, since I prefer no one know my interests. Your sister isn't aware of your reading habits. That's not the kind of thing sisters discuss. He looks positively puzzled, and the giggle that rips through me at least eases some of the tension within me. Not all sisters, I guess. She isn't too understanding of my non-educational reading in the first place. She thinks I should spend more time looking for a spouse or tutoring. My word drips with disinterest. It's been a long while since I was convinced that my sister knew my future best. My family is much the same, wanting me to wed. At least our distaste for the impending matrimony is something we share. I tucked the book under one arm before turning to the shelves and perusing the other books. Have you read this one? Pulling out a book entitled Discipline, I offer it up to Erwin, showing him the cover. Yes, though it's quite niche. The wicked smirk on his face and his choice words intrigue me. Niche? Pass it here. Let me read you an excerpt. Erwin takes the book from me, flicking through the pages until he seems to find what he's looking for. He clears his throat as he begins to read. The girl squirmed in my lap, her silky skin brushing against me as she keens. I haven't even started yet, and she's already trembling. Oh, straight to the explicit parts, I see. Part of me wants to applaud him, but I settle on blushing instead. I try to look at anything other than Erwin as he continues his narration. You know why I'm doing this, I whisper, massaging her thick flesh before I withdraw quickly, striking her behind harshly and relishing in the way her legs kick and shake. My throat closes as arousal washes over me, Arden's voice only making the words more intense. My harsh tug at the base of her hair pulls her up to meet my gaze, and the expression on her face does nothing to hide her deep arousal. Oh. I feel Arden's eyes flick to mine as my face burns fiercely. Are you blushing? Obviously. I can't help the defensive feeling that flares within me. It only relinquished slightly when I look up to Arden to see the heat on his face too. But so are you. He chuckles, yet doesn't seem too embarrassed by the filth he just uttered. I'd forgotten just how lewd it is. God, I want to hide right now, preferably with that book so I can read it more, but definitely far, far away from Erwin's watchful gaze. My eyes dart back to the shelf, scanning along the titles. I see various other suggestive names written in dark red ink. Are all the books in here just utter filth? The last thing I expected was to see today was a secret trove of hidden, forbidden, sexy books. Not all of them. There are some of which show darker parts of our realm past that we'd rather not glorify. But they don't make for fun reading, unlike the filth. I have to focus to ignore the way Oren's laugh makes my hair stand on end. I finally settle on pulling out another book, this title catching my attention. The cover is covered with illustrations of rope swirling beautifully like vines around the lettering of the title. Oh, this one looks interesting. Unlike the lick of dust on the other tombs, this one looks almost pristine, the first hint that it's been well read. Arden's uncharacteristic sputtering draws my attention as I flip open the book, and the realization hits me. Of course, it's Oren who'd been reading it so much. The hand that had just reached out to stop me withdraws as he swallows and accepts his fate. This glimpse into his innermost desires feels intimate, but I'll keep such secrets locked close to my heart. Hopefully he realizes we're far beyond judgment now. I glance at Erwin as his tense shoulders relax, and he moves to watch over my shoulder as I peel open the pages. The first few pages are largely text, but the more I turn, I'm greeted with divine illustrations, women tied in artful rope designs or suspended in sudden ways. Accompanying the designs is some small prose or comments on the design, each a passing mixture of titillating and educational. Wow, that's beautiful. Roleplay actually is really beautiful. If you find the right stuff, there's some stuff out there really, 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 really pretty. I ghost my fingers along the pages, tracing one of the forms before me. Isn't it? Have you ever seen anything like this before? Well, I'm not entirely inexperienced. This book and the others Oren has shared are showing me a new side of life. And all And of my own interest, too, if the way my blood burns is any indication. No. Orin leans in, heat radiating from him as arms snake around me to turn the pages, too. He flicks back to the title page at the beginning of the book. It's an old form of rope bondage art. That's the old Elvish word right there. He taps the script on the page, yet doesn't immediately withdraw. The word looks just as pretty as the ropes do. I sigh, the words wistful. I suppose. I flip back through the pages, taking only minute glances at each one. There are a lot of illustrations in here. Yet, while the illustrations in Dolly catch my eye, the notes in the column, notes, do too. Seems you've read this book a lot. The air shifts as Ern bolts upright and moves away, his eyes narrowing harshly as he becomes defensive. What of it? Oh, nothing. I just would have thought the other books may have been more gratifying. The tension within him melts somewhat at that. I'm not just rereading it for gratification. I enjoy the art for its sake of it. He takes a deep breath before continuing. Getting to practice any of it, I can only imagine it's meditative. Have you tried before? From his interest, I would have expected him to be well versed, though the idea of him tying up someone like this makes me want to blush again. And on whom am I supposed to have done that? Oh, I guess he hasn't done it before. Yourself? I hadn't thought about that, surprisingly, but I think it would be better shared, an intimate moment, no? His words are laced with something suggestive, which is completely unexpected to me. Is that an invitation? I hate the way my words sound so choked. Would you like it to be? Ern's demeanor shifts, a slight smirk tugging at his lips. I don't know what to say. I meant what I said about enjoying the art form. It needn't be anything more. After a battle of silence, he releases a deeply held sigh, and can no longer meet my eyes. But I know we've only just started trusting each other, so forget I said anything. No, I'm interested. Even if I was entirely taken aback, Oren still won't meet my eyes. It's not some sort of trick. I'm being rather serious. I lace my voice with a coaxing calmness, trying to soothe him if he's some sort of frightened animal. Good. He finally looks at me and his gaze burns. Good. Not today, though. No, of course. We have things to think about and discuss, and if you find yourself changing your mind, that's okay, too. I watch as the self-conscious creeps into his features once more. Well, same to you. I offer a smile, which is returned with hesitation. Oren? Can I take the book so I can write to you anytime? I don't know why I feel so nervous asking, but I do. Perhaps a part of me thinks that this side of us belongs only here, and taking it outside. Of course, I'll have notes for you, and you can ask me any questions you have. About this or anything else. I will. I nod quickly. Good, I look forward to it. The shy, heartfelt smile Oren gives me makes my heart clench in a way that is completely foreign to me. Seeing him vulnerable is such a treat, one I intend to treasure. I clear my throat, returning my attention to the book. If we are going to follow through on practicing it, I suppose I need to be better informed. We can read the rest of this together, then? Of course, lover. My nerves eat me alive, a gnawing in my stomach and a tightness in my chest. This seems like such a good idea last we spoke, and yet now the second thoughts are creeping in. Doubt, questions, and growing self-confidence. Oren has done nothing to warrant any distrust, but the vulnerability this requires. I suppose he's placing a lot of trust in me too, to enforce my limits, to communicate honestly, to keep his secrets. My fingers hover inches from the door, ready to push inside, and yet hesitation wins over. I take a deep, steadying breath, centering myself so I have the bravery to push forward. Ern waits for me on the other side of the door, fiddling with his own fingers as our eyes meet. Hello, Jinx. I feel my chest clench even further. though Ern's soft smile helps put me a little at ease. My cheeks flush at how good my name feels when uttered from his lips. Hello. This doesn't need to be strange. It's going to be okay. Nervous? Ern brushes past me to close the door. The proximity of him only serves to heighten said nerves. A little. How about you? I follow Ern as he makes his way to the seat by the window, and we sit stiffly beside one another. About the same. Is there anything I can do to help? Magically make me carefree and without a worry? Meeting Ern's eyes is difficult once more. Nothing springs to mind. I can feel Ern's anxious energy wash off him in waves, though I can also sense that he's trying to remain strong and resolute for my sake. Did you think about what I asked? About letting you sketch me? Truthfully, his request has dominated every waking moment since he asked. Most of my nights lately have been spent with my head between the pages of that magical book, talking to Ern and discussing this, among many other things. Yes. The proposition has confused me a little at first, but the more I thought about Ern's motivations, the more I felt comfortable with it. He isn't making it strange or uncomfortable. I owe him the same in return, even if I'm struggling with that. That'll be fine. I decide to push through the awkwardness with a joke. I just hope you can multitask drawing along with keeping a conversation going. I wouldn't want you to die of boredom in such an uncomfortable position, too. At that, I raise a questioning brow. Oh, you're planning on making it uncomfortable? No, actually. Owen gestures off to the side at a pile of items topped with 2 lengths of coiled rope. I brought a cushion and a covering for the floor. It's only now the practicalities of the situation hit me. The space isn't exactly private, but then again, doing this in either of our rooms is too intimate. And you're sure no one will come in? I lock the door behind you and put some of my magic to good use. Good. Why do I feel so awkward? Shall we? I gesture with my hands the way that suggests we should get started, but the whole moment is laced with my discomfort. Deep breaths. We can go as slow as you need. Owen's voice is reassuring and sweet as he sits preparing my area. He sets down the cushions and beckons me over. Our eyes lock in an intense gaze as his hands rest on the tops of my shoulders. His grip is soft but insistent as he pushes me down until I kneel before him. I force myself to swallow, but find myself unable to turn away from him as I submit to his touch. The spell he casts over me has me in a trance that I find myself conscious, confessions tumbling out of my lips. I'm not scared of being tied. It's just a little awkward. I'll try my best to ease it. His hands on my shoulder is now resting either side of my head, cradling me as gently as Owen stoops to press a kiss to the top of my head. You look very lovely tonight, by the way. Oren, that does the opposite of help. I feel my face burst into a furious blush, which brings a shy smile to Oren's face. He seems to be deep in thought as he unfurls one of the lengths of rope. Ooh. Ready? I'm ready. Okay. I watch Oren as his face traces over me and a look of concentration settles on his features. As his hands trace over my skin, I force myself not to let out a gasp. It's been so long since I've been intimate with anyone, or even shared platonic physical touches with another. The rope tightens around my ribs, pulling at the fabric of my nightclothes as Oren starts to weave the length over my shoulders. The feeling is already so intense, but when he leans in and his warm breath pushes me over, I'm unable to stop the shivers down my spine. Our breaths are the only sound in the room at that moment until Oren fills the silence. Can I tell you something I've never told anyone before? Of course. He doesn't meet my eyes, focusing as he loops the rope back around my neck. In so many ways, I was honestly relieved when I was told that Lloyd would become the heir apparent. I can't help the minute flinch as Ern's fingers brush against my bear's neck, checking the tension of the rope against my skin. Does the rope feel okay? Yes. My answer comes out almost a little too quickly, my brain ready to fire off on a hair trigger, and yet it's the truth. But really, you weren't upset? No. Growing up, I had so many expectations placed on me. Knowing I'd be able to leave so many of them behind was a relief. I was so jealous of my sister growing up. She got to be more carefree and drew less of my father's ire. The rope bites into my skin ever so slightly, upbraiding as Arn restrains my wrists in an entangled column. I'm sorry. Regardless of my personal feelings, I don't think Lloyd will make a good king. But that doesn't leave this room, understood? Arn tugs on the bindings at my wrist. How does that feel? Fine. His check-ins stir something within me. His care and consideration is too sweet, and I enjoy it more than maybe I should. I need to deflect again. Do you think he won't make a good king because he's fully human, not of royal blood? No, though of course it's very controversial to some. I'm sure you've heard the stories of the difficulties my father had when marrying my mother, though. Yes, at least she got to win the realm over before she died. That she did. He smiles fondly, pausing for a moment. Can I ask something? Anything. My heart bursts with his willingness and open-mindedness. I hope I'm not prying too much or taking advantage of his vulnerability. Do you think your mother would have been upset about your father remarrying? The question makes him pause once more. Neither of them are or were the most traditional kind, but I think my mother would have wanted it. Remarriage is common for humans, no? At this point, I relax into Oren's touch, as I've grown more used to the brushes of his skin against the clothed parts of my body. Yes, definitely, but I would have thought it would be different for your father. If my mother was an elf too, maybe. She wanted him to find love and happiness once more, from what he told me. Oren's parents, the king and his first queen, it seemed like they had such a unique, loving bond until sickness took her life early. That's beautiful. True love, really. Indeed. And my father's wife is a great woman, too. A harsh scowl overtakes his features. How she raised such an insufferable son, I have no idea. I'm sure your father asks the same of you. My tone is teasing, but not nearly as much as Oren when he next speaks. I'll let that one slide for now. Next time might incur a punishment. I cover up my choke with a cough. Funny. Internally, I'm not laughing at all. The thought makes my insides churn. All I can think of is the book from where Ern read that particular passage. My thoughts spiral into impropriety territory. My inner turmoil must show my face as Ern turns to concern for a brief moment, then his eyes soften, filling with emotion, and his lips part delicately. He's never looked as beautiful as he does in this moment. He comes back to himself with a start. Are you uncomfortable? How are you feeling? A slight smile on his lips soothes my nerves, but only somewhat. You're looking at me like I'm art, something to be admired. I feel my eyes advert, unable to face him as my words slip out. Because you are, especially with these ropes. With such a compliment, I have no idea what to say. Oren continues before I can stutter out a response. I have an idea before I start, if you'll indulge me. What's that? I could turn the ropes into vines. Oh, what an interesting idea. The idea of being bound not only in ropes but vines makes me think I'd look like some ethereal woodland spirit. Not long, as long as it's not itchy or uncomfortable, I suppose. Oren nods. I can change it back in an instant. Should it become an issue. I wish I'd always known this considerate side of him. Go on then. Oren's eyes roam over my body with a curious look before he circles around to where I kneel. Oren starts to trace intricate shapes in the air with his forefinger, and I feel the ropes around me start to shift and change. There's no itch or burn, just a slight tingle as the leaves start to sprout forth. He's considerate enough to create baby leaves of vines, supple in youth and soft as moss. It tickles. Are you okay? I nod softly with a smile. I'm good. I'm glad. Oren now steps away, retreating to sit across from me with a small notebook and pencil. His eyes flicker between me and the page as the scratches of lead fill the room. Watching him, whether it's with the ropes or the pencil, is rather enjoyable. His brows knit together in concentration, but when his eyes meet mine, I can tell he's perfectly trying to school his features. I didn't know you enjoyed drawing, not until you told me. It's a new hobby, though I've been feeling uninspired lately. And the only thing that can inspire you now is something perverse. I offer my response, trying my luck and earning a scowl from Oren. I've never found him less intimidating. He looks like an angry puppy. Thank the gods you're not opposed to something perverse then. His scowl fades as his attention returns to his drawing. Will you show me once you're done? If you'd like. I'd love that. The comfortable stillness settles between us as we take turns observing each other. My mind drifts back to the Oren earlier's confession about his stepbrother. I think he offered up those thoughts as a way to share in the vulnerability so that I wouldn't feel scared and alone. The thought makes my heart clench as I consider offering up my vulnerability just the same. I haven't told anyone this either, but I'd love to be a writer and tell love stories like the ones we read. It seems we'll lay all our secrets bare for one another tonight. What's stopping you? No one in my family would approve were I to pursue it full time. Besides, it's silly. I don't think I've ever really been in love, so the stories wouldn't be that good. My words hang in the air for a moment as Oren takes them in. You haven't. No, I got along well with my previous partner. And we shared a lot of firsts, but it never felt quite right. I know how that feels. His soft voice draws me in, once more displaying that vulnerability I find myself suddenly craving. You do? He nods thoughtfully. I was involved with someone, but it never felt quite how I expected it to feel. He turns the notepad before I can respond, showing me the sketch he's just completed. What do you think? I crane my neck to get a better look, and the sight before me takes my breath away. Oh, wow. It looks like it could belong in the book. Oren's eyes settled on me once more, and suddenly the vines disappeared, dissolving back into ropes. Oh, what happened? I lost my concentration on the spell. My apologies. He clears his throat awkwardly, and can no longer meet my eye. It's okay. Could I be untied? Of course. He's on his feet before I can even finish the sentence, working to undo the binds and intricate rope work. The worried look on his face doesn't escape me. Just for a break, that's all. Maybe we could try something else then. His smile returns and my heart soars. I'd love that. I'd love to. Part of me wishes I could really avoid this ball, especially with the Crown Prince Lloyd by my side. His arm is looped through mine as we walk down the hallway on the way to the event. He seems to talk about something or other, but his words fall on deaf ears. I'm dreading spending the whole evening in his company. Whoops. Shoot. I'm dreading spending the whole evening in his company, but more importantly, I'm fearful of what might happen once I finally get to see Oren again. We haven't spoken since our experiment. Our time together ended sweetly, but the next day I found my notes in the magical library unanswered. He made no attempt to visit the library. Arn hasn't made the first move in reaching out, and I haven't dared either. The whole thing has left me bereft. As far as I'm aware, I didn't do anything inappropriate. The entire experience went like I think it was supposed to. Yet Oren's distance is completely unexpected, and a strange emptiness has settled within me in the days since. I can only hope that we might get a chance to speak in private and clear the air tonight. And if his reluctance to initiate the conversation, I will have to be the one that steps up. Jinx. My heart skips a beat as I'm startled back to the present. Are you ready? I take a deep breath, summoning a version of my sister to sit on my shoulder and guide me through this evening. Though scold is probably the better word. I'll at least try one more time to wiggle myself out of this. I stop walking, keeping us in the hallway before the ballroom doors. Crown Prince, if I may be so bold, perhaps you should escort my sister instead. My suggestion is met by a frown from the Crown Pix, quickly recovered by a slick smile. But I wish to spend time with you. I heard my dear brother and sister discussing you the other day, and I knew I must recommit to asking you here. Perhaps if my escort is someone my sibling-like, their tolerance of me might not be a pretense for once. He rounds his sentence with a smile that reads to me as entirely forced. I'm not at all interested in the Crown Prince's opinion of me, and even less so knowing that, unsurprisingly, my attendance tonight is only part of some game plan of his. I'm not sure using me as such is going to work. It's part persuasion, part truth, as I know my presence will do nothing to endear Lloyd to Oren in the slightest. We'll see. Besides, whatever ambitions you have in the castle will be boistered after today. So I hope that it at least makes it this less of an annoyance for you. The Crown Prince's facades drop, his expression turning severe, since I assume it is an annoyance, though you're better at hiding it than they are. This is why I mentioned my sister. She'd be more than happy. Another time. He offers me his arm once more and gives me his best attempt at a reassuring smile. Shall we? It seems I just have to accept my fate. Of course. Lloyd nods to the staff at the door as they rush to sweep them open for our grand entrance. Everyone's eyes are on us as we make our way down the steps and deeper into the ballroom. My eyes are only searching for Oren. I spot him at the back of the room, his eyes fixed on me and an indecipherable expression on his face. My attention is pulled away from him as we make our way through the crowds. Different people vie for the Crown Prince's attention, and he exchanges brief greetings with many as he makes his way through. My smile is so false and unwavering that it almost hurts my face to maintain it. I try to keep my focus on breathing, nodding where it's needed, and offering greetings when required. I hope my sister is watching. She'd be so proud. Finally, we arrive at our destination before the prince and princess, and Lloyd is quick to take charge of the conversation. Good evening, brother and sister. I know you're already acquainted with my date for the evening, Jinx. As formality would dictate, I bundle my skirts in my grasps and curtsy for them. Ern's expression is so severe, I wish I could make him smile. We both know how ridiculous all of this happens to be. Princess Emile, Prince Oren, no need for formalities. Emile is overtaken with joy as she pulls me into a warm, sisterly hug. I've heard a lot about you. She pulls away and I offer Oren a courteous nod. I suppose, after all, no one truly knows about the bond that Oren and I share, especially not Lloyd. But with Emile's comment just now, I wonder if she suspects something. Jinx. He's acting so distant. I don't have time to linger on the thought, though, as Lloyd pulls me to his side in an embrace. Well, I can trust you to look after my lovely while I go on stage. Of course, she's in good hands. The best hands. Good luck with the speech. Oren's smile is so false it hurts to look at, but Lloyd either doesn't perceive it or doesn't care to address it as he cheerfully bids us all farewell. See you all soon. Lloyd flees to attend his princely duties, and I can sense all of us take a deep sigh of relief at his departure. Emile nudged her brother in the ribs playfully, a smile on her lips. You're being awfully nice. Playing him at his own game, sister. My throat dries up when Aura's severe expression is turned to me, and he leans forward to whisper in my ear. The close proximity and the tone of his voice make me shiver. Didn't manage to wiggle your way out of attending with him then? Does he mean for that to come across as harsh as it is? I stumble over my words, trying to form a response, having gotten used to not seeing this side of Orwin. I make an attempt or two, but he seems to think that me being here will endear him to you. He couldn't have misjudged the situation more if he tried. Even for the corner of my eye, I can see the way his jaw clenches. Oh. Princess Emile leads in to join the conversation, a cheeky smile and raised her brow on her face. What are you two whispering about? Orin pulls away, our closest severed, as he rolls his eyes at his sister. Palace secrets, military operations, the like. How do you put up with his attitude, Jinx? She smiles conspiratorially, slipping her arm through mine. He's not too insufferable once you get to know him. I'm not sure he'd say the same about me, though. Your nerves bubble over as you begin to ramble, and your words are met with a glare from Orin. He would, and he doesn't have an attitude, sister. We were whispering because it was something between the two of us, hence the sarcasm in response to your question. If it were meant to be shared, we wouldn't be whispering. There's a slight smirk on his lips, despite the bite to his words, and it's nice to see Emile and Orin's relationship up close. Much like my sister and I, we might not always see eye to eye, but we still love each other dearly. It's rude to whisper in company. She's staring daggers right back at him, but with the same smirk on her lips. Still, I feel the need to apologize for my lapse of manners. My apologies. I'm talking about my brother. He should know our mother would have his head for that. Their playful looks are exchanged once more before Orin's attention is drawn to the stage by Lloyd starting his speech. I barely cast a glance at the crown prince, my eyes fixed on Orin for the longest time. Oh good, he's staring at us. We all turn our attention to the stage. Faking a smile never stops being exhausting, does it? Not at all. I continue to zone out for the duration of the speech, Lloyd's bravo and theatrics doing nothing to capture my attention. Not when I'm so lost in my thoughts regarding Orin. Before I know it, Lloyd is before us once more, soaking up the applause from the room. His arm slips around me as he pulls me close, and I tried hard to mask my true emotion. What did you think, sweetness? Great speech as always, Prince. I nod to him and take all of my self-restraint not to flinch when I feel Lloyd press a kiss to the top of my head. Well, if you approve, then. Jinx, I just remembered something pertinent about the tutoring session we shared recently. May we talk? He's trying to get us out of here. Or does that tug at my arm, pulling me from Lloyd's grasp as his tone turns severe. Orin. Emile inserts herself between the two men, and I breathe a sigh of relief as she mediates. Oh, they shan't be too long. He'll have her back to you in no time. Won't you, brother? Without a doubt. Orin nods before whisking us away to one of the stairwells, his warm hand unwavering on my bicep as he holds me close. We stop just shy of the balustrade, and a tense silence following us before Orin puts distance between us. Orin. I watch him take a deep breath and collect his thoughts. Something in his demeanor changes as he seems less guarded. Yet now, as he struggles to meet my eye, my apologies for being so brash. What's the matter? Despite the swirl of emotion within, I try to keep my voice calm and measured. Watching him behave that way with you goes beyond my limits for tolerance. I feel the urge to explain myself. I did try to avoid this. Even just before, I was trying to talk him out of it. Please don't be mad at me. Mad at you? I couldn't be. Orin's touch is light when he reaches out, his fingers grasping at my wrist. You've barely spoken to me since that night. A mistake on my part, and nothing to do with you. Never to do with you. I'm sorry if you thought that. It's a true relief to hear those words, yet worry still lingers within me at whatever made Orin fall into himself. It was a lot of vulnerability. I understand if you felt the need to retreat. Yes, something like that. I've been so worried I'd done something wrong. If we do that again, a small check-in or clarification would be really helpful. I know Aaron didn't intend to leave me feeling raw, but I should be honest with him about it. We won't be doing it again. The firmness of his tone makes my chest constrict. Oh, okay. It was nice to have tried it. It is the fact we can't indulge in specific acts that makes me ache, or is it or that it feels like Oren is shutting me out and closing down any possibility of exploring my blossoming feelings. The sound of the party keeps us company in the background as we both seem to battle with something internally. I sense there's more going on than Erwin has mentioned. Not that he has really mentioned much. Perhaps I shouldn't push, but I can't help the vines within me that reach out and tug me towards him, the leaves and petals that have grown to crave his sunshine. Oren? There's clearly something amiss. I don't wish to pressure you, but... The tension in his jaw is back as his arms wrap around his chest defensively. I'm not sure what you want to hear what I have to say. Why is that? If I could stay through you insulting me, I'm sure I could handle this too. I offer him my best attempt at reassurance, a reassuring, playful smile as I slide closer to him. If you'd rather reserve that for someone you're more intimate with, I won't be offended. I'm just thankful for the introduction. My words are truthful. I wouldn't be offended, but I would feel loss of what could have been. But if what's best for Owen isn't me, I will just have to make peace with that. I do wish to share that with someone intimately. The issue is that I wish it were you. Despite this being the outcome I only dreamed of, I freeze. Forgive me, I don't wish to make you uncomfortable. Please know that my intentions were never in that place when I offered. He rushed to explain, a burst flush on his cheeks. Oren, I understand. Doing that with you, it was hard to deny the attraction, but the distance senses made me realize I'm annoyingly fond of you. Annoyingly? Well, I had thought the feeling wasn't mutual. Oren takes a step closer to me, crowding into my personal space. His warmth is so close, and now I can enjoy it without reservation. It is most definitely mutual, but annoying is not the word I would use. Unexpected, though? Oren reaches up, caressing my cheek as his ensnaring gaze holds mine. Our bond has developed deeper than I expected in such a short space of time. It feels strange to feel so able to trust. I nod wordlessly in awe with his words and the feeling much the same way. His eyes flicker down to my lips, his own gravitating towards me. May I kiss you? Please? Time slows as my eyes flutter shut and Lauren's lips softly press against my own. He holds me as he deepens the kiss, a leisurely but passionate pace that makes my hair stand on end and my heart soar. Our moment is erupted by a quiet, feminine laughter. I knew there was more to the story. Oren's face disappears into my neck, and I can feel his shy smile brushing against my skin. Sister, Lloyd is looking for Jinx. She stands expectantly, but the smile on her face doesn't waver. Tell him she's otherwise occupied. You can tell him yourself when you walk out arm in arm, brother. Oren all but growls. His patience for the affair was long gone before he had arrived, and now it's nowhere to be found. It won't be too long until all this is over. Don't worry. Sneak out with me? Where to? Our spot, of course. I agree in an instant. Oren threads his fingers in mine, pulls me away, ignoring the calls from his sister or the spare glances we get from the crowd. When we make it out of the ballroom, we all but sprint down through the hallway until we reach our safe haven. The doors close behind us and we both collapse into the wood in a fit of giggles. I'm so glad that's over. Me too. I'm enraptured watching Oren's chest rise and fall, and the delighted expression that washes over his face. When he turns to me, his brow furrows, and it's clear he's thinking of what we discussed earlier. Seeing him touch you was insufferable, even if you aren't mine. The words that make my heart soar and my stomach sink at the same time as a wild part of me craves to be his. That could change. Could it now? It's my turn to stroke his cheek, brush a strand of hair off his face. Well, if we both feel the same, I'd like to explore it. As would I. Though I still reserve the right to find you as irritating as I do charming. The laughter that peals from his is hearty and melodic? No, it's not right either. I know this word. I can say this word. Melodic. No. We're just gonna skip. As do I. For a moment, Oren is lost, staring at the ceiling wistfully, his smile serene. God's that kiss. I can't stop smiling myself, thinking of Oren's soft lips on mine. It will inspire my private writings for years to come. I suppose I should do the honorable thing and give you plenty more to write about then. Only to support your dreams, of course. Of course. And you can bind me any way you like and draw me, only to support yours. We fall into an easy embrace, basking in each other's. Rather wholesome when we say it like that. I'm sure that will change. Oren's lips part in shock, his eyes darkening as he twists and pins me against the door with his hips. Is that your way of telling me you had wandering thoughts during our session? It's impossible to meet his eyes right now as the blush crawls up my neck and blankets my face. I tried my best to suppress them, but after I was much the same way. Every time I close my eyes, it's like your image is engraved there. His words and the breathiness that as he speaks has me flushing with desire. A way with words as always. Finally, I feel I can look at him again, but the intensity of all the adoration within his gaze almost has my knees giving out. Won't you stay with me tonight? I gasped dramatically. If Lloyd isn't already aware of Oren and my entanglement, he would be soon. And cause such a scandal in the castle? When have we truly cared what others think of us? Besides, I intend to make an honest woman of you, so it shouldn't be a sight that is too strange before long. His words leave me breathless, yet that old contrarian part of me screams out wants nothing to do more than tease him. I'm not sure that I can be in a relationship with someone whose literary opinions can differ so much from mine. Oren smirks before stealing a kiss and whispering his words into my lips. Then clearly you should just come around to my way of thinking, lover. Not a chance. I remember your notes about that Vikander novel where you said that the ending fell flat. I am still in disbelief. The death was a cheap trick. We all saw it coming from the beginning. He rolls his eyes. When I get to read the things you write, however, I promise I'll balance all my criticism with compliments too. I wouldn't expect anything less. Oren moves to press a kiss to my forehead before she steps away, his hands trailing down my arms before his fingers intertwine with mine once more. Shall we finish our books together? I'll read it aloud for you. Sounds perfect to me, lover. A few months later. Oh. Oren's warmth penetrates through me, his naked body just a few inches from my own as he makes the final adjustment to the bindings at my wrist. The soft braided cotton keeps my inner woven hands from moving even an inch, and I am entirely under Oren's control. How's that? He asks, his voice soft and considerate in spite of, or perhaps because of, his dominant actions. I close my eyes, taking a moment to consider how I really feel. The binding makes me feel safe and secure with Oren by my side, with Oren being the one whose mercy I am beholden. And yet this is the first time we've crossed the threshold of combining the binds with our entanglements. Until now, it had only been one or the other, bound tight with ropes and vines, while my head rested on Oren's thigh, and we developed a bond of trust. Naked and splayed out for him, the only thing restraining me being his hips against mine and his hands pinning me to the bed covers. It feels good, fine, good even, a demonstration of our complete trust in each other. When I open my eyes, Oren looks down at me, his eyes lidded with lust and desire, yet sparkling with admiration. Whoa. You look divine. Draped over me, looking entirely too angelic, I can't help but think that he is the one who is the manifestation of divine. You should see yourself. My words come out barely a whisper, my breath stolen away by Oren's ethereal appearance. He claws at my body momentarily before pressing kisses to where the rope digs into my skin, blessing the restraints with affectionate touches. Let me know immediately if it becomes uncomfortable. He says, and not for the first time. I will, I promise. I find myself smiling unrestrainedly, so pleased with Oren's sweetness and concern. Oren repositions himself atop me, his hardness brushing against my core as he presses kisses down my face and neck before burying himself into my breasts. Close your eyes for a moment. He pleads quietly, an edge of hesitation washing over his voice. Why? My question is instant, a holdover from my usual personality, yet still I comply. Maybe I shouldn't question him when he's in charge and I'm submitting, but his orders doesn't sound like his usual confident commands. Because I'm nervous and I need a moment to steady myself. His quiet admission makes my heart thunder, knowing he feels just as vulnerable as I do in this moment. He's holding both of our pleasure and safety in his hands, taking on a weighty responsibility to make us both feel good. I'm nervous too, but more excited than anything. I offer, hoping my excitement can be infectious and soothing. Good as am I. He straightens up, nodding once before diving down for a passionate bruising kiss. Our lips are hard and pressing, nothing like their usual softness, as he has me completely at his mercy. An animalistic sense seems to have taken over him as he pulls away with a smug, satisfied smirk. You look so pretty, bound for me. Everything I imagined and more, lover. Oren takes his time in teasing me, working his way down my exposed skin with kisses that switch between featherlight and filthy, each one leaving me shivering for more. Oren, I whine, squirming in my binds and under his touch. A part of me wants to fall back into the old back and forth we used to share, but I know that won't end well for me as I'm perfectly at Oren's mercy. After a tortuously slow descent, Oren's breath ghosts across my core, making me jump. Stop teasing, I growl, or at least attempt to. My voice comes out more breathy, with no bite. As you wish. Oren dives into licking me with intensity I've not felt before as he devours me like a man starving of his nectar of choice. And then abruptly he pulls away, leaving me whining and whimpering pathetically. I want nothing more than to thread my fingers in his hair and tug him closer to my bud and give me the pleasure I so desperately need. My fingers itch, and yet there's not a thing I can do besides take it. Take what he gives me or take what he doesn't. The restraints heighten every sensation. Oren's control makes me dizzier with every passing moment. When he returns to licking at my core, I practically thrash against my binds, both loving and resenting their existence. Oren works expertly, having spent months learning my body in every page, every detail. It's always so hard to control myself under his touch, to not spiral towards the edge. My legs tighten around Oren's head, keeping him close as his tongue works his magic, writing spells into my most sensitive spot. Oren, I'm so close. The man hums into my core, pushing me over the edge straight into ecstasy. My eyes squeeze shut as Oren's enchantment washes over me, flowing through every part of me. He doesn't relent, bringing out every last moment of pleasure from me, until I'm quivering under his tongue. It's not until my body protests and I attempt to wriggle away that Oren finally slows down and stops. I'm not done with you quite yet. Oh gods. Like a man possessed, Oren moves swiftly, perfectly in control of both of us, as he repositions himself at my soaked entrance, teasing me with his long, slender cock. Are you ready for me? His voice is soft compared to his searing touch and exertion of control. He strokes himself across my folds, taunting me with a look of satisfaction on his lips. I can feel myself melting into submission. Even after climax, I still crave him so desperately. Always. I cry out and as I buck my hips, not out of a wish to defy, but from the sheer need to overtaking my body and leaving my desire to obey him behind. That's what I like to hear. Oren devours my pleas with a kiss as he continues to tease, rocking his hardness against me before he finally sinks in one deep thrust. I surrender entirely to the sensation, my eyes rolling back in rapture and bliss. Surrendering to Oren feels so natural now, but not being able to take a hold of him as he stretches and fills me feels foreign, almost frustrating. Every time feels like the first. Oren sighs as he rocks deeper, taking care to stroke against my insides in a way he knows I love. Always so considerate, always so skillful. We feel so good inside me. I cry out, using words to spur him on and reassure him since my hands cannot. I want more, need more. Oh, please. Please. Where did all that sass from earlier go? When you were demanding I stop teasing you? You know, you used to be so mousely, my sweetness. You used to argue with me constantly. Look how things have changed. His tone is just the right amount of condescending and playful, and it makes my body jolt as my defiance flares up. Untie me and I'll show you just how mouthy I can be. I barely make it to the end of my sentence before Oren picks up his pace and starts to steal my breath, to rob me every word of brattiness that could leave me. Oren drapes himself back over me, holding down my bound hands while pressing sweet loving kisses to my face and strokes across my body reverently. Give in to me. His command once more is so soft, indescribably alluring. The pleasure he pushes through me with his words alone fogs my brain. I have you. You're safe with me. Safe and all mine. Oren's perfect pace stutters, affected by his own words as his hips slow to a gentle roll and his lips part ever so gently. I can't go much longer, gods above. His sigh is blissful, his expression twisted in ecstasy as he resumes and pushes closer and closer to losing himself inside me. With each thrust, his pace grows more frantic until he cries, spilling inside me as he finishes. For a moment we lay entangled, catching our breaths and sharing a sweet moment, stealing kisses from each other's lips. With his strength regained, he takes the time to carefully unbind the ropes from my wrists, whispering sweet nothings and reassurances as he goes. His words wrap around me like a comforting blanket as he binds me in his arms, pulling me close to him and allowing me to settle within his warmth. You and this are everything I've ever dreamed of. Lover. The end. That was cool. I like that. Definitely like that. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.